Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Steven. Doing good. I had to actually look to see what episode or what spy number we're on because my
You
mind
always do.
completely is a blank.
You always do.
I always do. I always have to do. Thank you for posting it someplace on my screen so that I can see it. That's why you're the producer of the show, and I'm not. But yeah, we are back once again for spy number 97, closing in on the century mark for Chasing Labels.
Yes.
Ever so slowly, it seems like. But May is right around the corner, and we've got a ton of stuff to talk about this week. But before we do, we don't have only one guest. We have two guests on this week, Stephen. Who do we have?
Takes two to tango, guys.
It does.
In this case, four, because there's four of us. So, no, I'm just kidding. But of course, we've had one of them on back in the day. And then now we're bringing on another they're kind of a duo in a way, because they both kind of do each other's podcasts. And one of them does the Imprint Cast, and then the other one is the main host of the Indicator Cast. We got Jonathan Mathews and Tony Michas. How you doing, man?
Doing well, thank you very much, and looking forward to recording Chasing Labels with you guys. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, we love I don't know about Andrew. I don't think he has a lot of time for podcasts, but me, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listen to both of you guys regularly, and I love just hearing you guys geek out about the new announcements. So and you guys get some great guests on too. I know you guys had Lee on, and you guys of course had Sam and John from Indicator on as well. And yeah, you guys do a great job.
No, thank you. I'm glad to
Thank
be back.
you so much.
Yeah, I remember it was probably an earlier episode of yours. I'm trying to remember when it was I was on. Yeah,
I think it was maybe like early.
can
It
look
was
it up
maybe about
now.
this time last year, maybe something like that. Something like that. Yeah.
No,
But yeah. So we did talk to John, a little bit about himself, I think, when we had him on. I don't know. It has been so long ago. I don't know. I don't know how deep we did get into John's past.
I mean, it was episode 21.
Ooh, it is pretty early.
Pretty early.
It's earlier than I thought. Yeah.
That may have been 2 years ago for all we know, but these years keep running together.
all blur post-COVID.
Yeah,
but I guess we could get a bit of an update about what's been going on.
Well, sure, yeah. Well, I want to start with Tony there because we've never had him on before. So Tony, tell us a little bit of an idea of what you're up to right now, and then we'll go from there.
Well, just mainly collecting my physical media, and of course, I'm looking through the Imprint stuff and trying to promote the podcast as well as the Facebook posts, Facebook groups as well, and basically just checking out what's coming out soon on all labels, and of course mainly because for Imprint we do John and I specialize in Imprint Cast, and of course we do the group, which is great. We're getting a lot of great followers, which is fantastic, and as you said, we're trying to get a lot of great guests as well. I'm just privileged enough to have had Lee Gambin on, and we've also had we had so many, but Lee Gambin's one of our dearest friends, and he always wants to help us bring some guests along, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what's the, if you don't mind, the personal side, like what do you do day to day? What's the I know this ain't your job, just like us. This is not our job.
No. It's not my full-time job. No.
Yeah.
My full-time job is a full-time carer. I am a full-time carer for some people for disabled people, and I do help them out whenever they need it. And pretty full-on day. Pretty full-on with being a full-time carer. But thank goodness for collecting and movies, because looking after disabled people all day, it can be very harrowing, and it can put a strain on you. So it does help.
Definitely. Do you share any of the movies you collect with people that you're caring for? Do you have time for that?
Some of them, no, not really, because what some of my clients need to do is basically take them out where they need to go. And also my sister is also I also look after my sister, who is who has a mild case of cerebral palsy. So I look after her as well. And it's pretty difficult with my sister. Like what she watches is mainly classic television, but I just watch everything else. So it's something.
Yeah, all right. That's great, man. That's great. John, give us an update on yourself. If please, what's going on with you, and then of course a little bit into your personal history. Like I said, I don't even remember if I asked you to. At the time, we weren't as good at interviewing people as I think we are now. So please give us a little update.
Yeah, been doing well, thanks. I excuse me. Still doing Indicator Cast. We've had to put the episodes not coming out as often as they used to, just because our two main hosts, Matt Schley, got very busy with moving in his new job. So let's put things on hold for a while. I hope to get Matt back on, because Matt was one of the real reasons we got the podcast going. And Ryan Kendall also has some stuff going on, so he's been out of the mix for a while. So trying to do the episodes. Obviously, Tony's been a massive help jumping in and helping out, while Ryan and Matt Schley has obviously stuff going on. So that podcast, it's still going. It's just been put on hold. We hope to get more episodes coming. So I know there's a lot of people asking that where's the next episode, because we're a bit behind on announcements, but just because of scheduling, we want to get people back on. So that's where Indicator Cast is. But a lot of my energy has been focused on Imprint Cast with Tony, because Tony's been doing amazing work there, getting great guests, the groups. So just very busy, and obviously, just keeping up to date with physical media. It's funny, I was going to mention how Tony and I actually met was through physical media. It's funny because we were on Facebook groups many years ago, and someone actually just said, hey, why don't we all just have a meetup? And we all got together. I think was it Tony, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
Around 5 years ago. Absolutely. Yeah, it was around 5 years ago. Like, one of the main reasons was one of the admins, which John is also an admin in one of those horror groups, is he lives in Melbourne, and he wanted to come up to Sydney, and they just thought, let's have a gathering. Let's have a get together. The most famous, some of the most popular, with some of the popular members of the groups who show off their recent releases, who show off everything else, and discuss what they love, and have them as a barbecue. And then 5 years ago, we went to a dear friend of ours' place, who I think John and I met for the first time that day. I don't know if you met. It was that day.
Yeah, it was that day. Yeah, because we've been talking for years on Facebook, and we're like, why don't we just meet up? Let's do this. So.
Yeah, I wish I could say that was something that I could do with Andrew, but it's some states between us, and it would probably be me to have to travel and not Andrew. So
we are divided by a couple of 100 miles in terms of distance. I mean, so it would be a little bit different. I don't know. People have, I guess, a misconception of how large the United States actually is in terms of like distance, in terms of where people live from one another. Because in some countries, things are very not close together, but within driving distance. You know what I mean? Within reasonable traveling distance. Whereas if you want to get to one place and then one other significant place in the United States, it can take you days, depending on if you want to drive, if you want to take a plane, a train, walk. I don't know. If you're Forrest Gump, you can run, I guess.
I kept running.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one day will probably happen. I mean, if it wasn't for the pandemic or COVID, I think that would probably happen much sooner. Because remember, Stephen, you were getting married and stuff like that, and I was going to go down for your marriage, and then you had to postpone it. And then still happened in the middle of when things were going down. It's a lot better now, so who knows what will happen in the future. I mean, we got enough chasing labels. I see Steven like every single week anyway, so it's as if I'm there with him.
Yeah, we just need to create a teleporter. The teleporter. Get on that the fly thing.
Make sure a fly doesn't get in. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But please, no Brundle flies here. I mean, it'd be great if we had like a faster way to get to people. Like, they tried to do high speed rail, and where you could get to like, I don't know, Boston to New York in an hour or something ridiculous like that. And it just never got funded because, politics are the way they are, and people fight over every little crumb of every little thing here. But who knows, perhaps one day. But yeah, we had John on very early on in our podcasting days, within like the first probably like 10 guests we had or something like that.
Mm.
And we were relatively new, and we were lucky enough to to have him on, and we were on your podcast as well.
Yeah,
We were on Indicator Cast.
Yeah.
For an episode.
Yeah, going for the bogey one, Humphrey Bogart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think I came on just me, I think, for an episode, didn't I?
Yeah, I think it was just yourself. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's just, it's already been 3 years since we started that podcast, the Indicator one. So it's a blur. But
oh yeah, we do so many of these videos. I don't,
I mean, you know what?
I start to feel bad if I can't remember something about a conversation I had. I'm like,
I mean, at this point, it's kind of. I'm glad someone is keeping a log of all these, of all the guests we have, of all the episodes we have, and all that stuff. It's all Steven, honestly. He does all of that heavy legwork. Because I would never be able to keep it in order.
I did the count the other day. I think we've interviewed like over 50 people now, 50 different people. So,
this list here on our Facebook page is not even up to date. So it's more than that's on here.
Thanks for shitting on me after being so nice.
Oh, okay.
You need to update it, Stephen.
You got it's the good with the bad. The good with the bad. But this week we'll probably be talking about a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff. Yeah,
we got a lot of good stuff. I mean, I don't know when you want to transition into that, Stephen.
Or a couple more things. A couple more things for my guys here. So when it came to the collecting, we'll go back over this with John. This is an update, but when did that collecting? What was the spark of the collecting part for you? Like, what was the loving of movies really early as well? Did that coincide, or did the collecting come later?
Well, my love of film came really early. Really early. I'm 43 now, but the very first film I remember watching when I was young was King Kong Lives. Down the street there was a video store in near where I live, and I remember the cover very well. That VHS cover of King Kong Lives. I don't know, for some reason, I think I mentioned it before in another show. It really attracted me, that cover, and I just thought, I should watch this. I really want to watch it. But then ever since watching King Kong Lives, I know it's a horrible film. It's terrible, don't get me wrong. But it's mainly for nostalgia. And ever since then, my love of film just grew more and more and more. And of course, the very first film I saw at the cinema was Tim Burton's Batman from 1989. And then, it just grew. But because all I did was go to the video store all the time and rent. But I didn't start buying until I was like 15 or 16. And I bought so many VHS. But then in 1997, when DVD came out, that's when I started collecting DVD. And then 2007, Blu-ray came out, started collecting Blu-ray as well. And then I think another 10 years later, 4K came out. And then
are you holding on to everything, or are you getting rid of stuff as the transition?
There are some I do upgrade, and I do sell my doubles, my old editions. But certain titles I will keep multiple copies of. Like, for instance, John knows this very well. My all-time favorite movie is A Clockwork Orange from Kubrick, and I have literally every edition except the Laserdisc. That's the only one I'm hunting. I have VHS, DVD. Blu-ray and 4K, but Laserdisc is the only one I need, and I got the Clockwork Orange set.
All right. So if anybody's out there, if you've seen one, if you have one you're willing to get rid of, there's a guy here that really wants it.
Oh, please let me know.
Yeah. Do you have the Clockwork Orange book?
Oh, I do have the book by Anthony Burgess. Yeah.
I guess it does fall in the realm of physical media.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to read that book for a class one time. I think it was like adaptations in film. We were just reading books and then watching their movie adaptations. And I had already seen A Clockwork Orange years ago, and it was the first time reading it. And the book is fascinating, different than the movie. For those of you interested, especially the ending is actually a lot different than the movie ending.
It sure was.
And so for those of you who are interested, who wonder if books are different than their movie counterparts, they oftentimes very much are. Very much are.
Oh, sorry.
I was saying it's quite difficult to read because it's in this colloquial language, and they do bring that across the movie, but the book is more like very like the accents, and it's like another language. Really, it's quite fascinating, the book. So,
all right.
It was like, but the difference in Australia is we didn't study that book because I believe from 1973 until 2000, before Kubrick's death, the movie was never officially released. It was only screening weekends at midnight screenings at the local cinema in town, and you could only see it at midnight, Friday or Saturday night for like nearly 30 years. And that was when I first thought, because in Australia, this rating system is very harsh. Like Clockwork Orange is rated R18 plus. You have to be over 18 to watch it.
like an NC-17, pretty much.
Yeah, NC-17 American, R18 plus here in Australia. And when I turned 18, the first thing I did was go to that midnight screening, and I fell in love. And then that was it.
Yeah, it's kind of like what happened in the UK. It wasn't banned. It was just, I think it was the request of Kubrick down here as well.
Yeah.
But
it was withdrawn, yes.
Withdrawn, yeah. I think that was at the request of Kubrick in the UK, but I'm not sure about it. But we had a similar thing. But anyway, that's another piece of history.
All right.
Yeah.
John, yourself, please update us about the love of where the love started and when did the collecting habit start? The big wall behind you. When did that start?
Very similar to Tony. It was mainly the video store days. I would go with my dad on weekends, and I was mainly horror was my main love when I was younger. That's kind of what got me into films. And one of the first ones I remember seeing on TV when I was maybe 9 or 8. I stayed up late, and Fright Night played, the original 1985 film. And from then I was like, wow, what is this? And I just like got obsessed by horror. So that's kind of where it started. And then just going to the video store and seeing all these tapes. And that was kind of my first memory, just seeing all these videos kind of lined up. And in Australia, it was quite interesting because we had labels that kind of had like the kind of unique like box art that kind of matched. It was quite unified. Like there was a label called Roadshow. Tony, you probably know. And Roadshows, they all matched, like a spines all matched on the shelf. And when I was younger, I was like, wow, that's really cool. And it kind of got me the idea of collecting. And then when video stores were eventually kind of throwing their tapes, I was going around. My dad was like, can you drive me around? We went around and I just buy like tons of tapes. So I had massive tape collection. And then when DVD came out, I started getting into DVDs. And that's when I started getting into more sort of, I guess you'd say, art house films, because there was a lot of good labels in Australia. Tony will know them as well, like Director's Suite. We had all these accent films. Like they were releasing like quite interesting films. That's where I discovered Bergman and all these really cool directors. And that's why I started getting a bit into the more art house. And then when I was, I guess, kind of, and I was buying those sort of locally. And then when I got into full-time work, I just went, all right, this is it. I'm going to start a collection. And I started collecting with Criterion and Arrow, and the obsession grew from there. So it's been a long journey from tape to Blu-ray and 4K. But it started with the video store mainly when I was younger. Yeah,
video store, movie theater. I think the movie theater is always the love of movies. It starts there for me. I mean, like my parents had a VHS collection, but I think when my parents always sent me to went out to the movie theater, that's where the love really grew. Because it becomes like it becomes important. It's like going to church. That's where I call it. When I tell people I'm going to the movies, they say I'm going to church.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just it's a place meant to sit down and pay attention to films.
Yeah.
Though that's changed over the years. It seems like people think it's a place to go and look at your phone and talk and
especially with horror films. Oh boy, they really piss me off, especially these teenagers. All they do is talk during horror movies and just go on their phone and goof around. Oh, it really irritates me.
Yeah.
What doesn't make sense to me is you spend tons of money to get into that place, and you want to waste your time. Like what you could have done talking and looking at your phone anywhere for free.
Yeah.
True. Like the last movie I went to, I saw Beau is Afraid at the cinema just recently, and that was rated, as I said, that was rated R18 plus, NC-17 equivalent to America. And I'm just grateful it was an actual intelligent adult audience there, no teenagers, because you had to be over 18 to watch it.
I would have been bored.
It was great. It was good. It was good to show. The movie is 3 hours long. I think that's also what turned off a lot of people. But to me, I don't care about length. To me, a movie is a movie. I love it. And Beau is Afraid is amazing, but definitely not for everybody. I probably that. So,
have you ever been to a movie theater and seen someone walk out in the middle of a movie theater and just never come back?
Oh yeah,
I've seen that happen. I went to see Darren Aronofsky's Mother in theaters, and there was two young. It was like a group of, I think, 3 like younger people. They weren't in they weren't teenagers, but they were probably slightly older, maybe college age. And they walked out in the middle of the movie and never came back. And as soon as I saw them walking out, I'm like, these people may walk out, and they did.
I've seen
I don't know if they went to it thinking they were going to see a Jennifer Lawrence film. I don't want to be that judgmental, but I assume that maybe that's what drew them.
I don't know what that means. What is a Jennifer Lawrence film?
Well, they're thinking like Hunger Games and
Games and all that,
and thinking, I don't know, whatever else she was doing at the time.
Oh boy,
and that's not
wrong.
the movie. that's not one of her typical films.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely wasn't. That was another one I saw that had one walkout, but I experienced a massive walkout in 2004. I'll give you that. I'll give you the quick story of that. It was on Ash Wednesday, 2004, and that's of course when Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ came out. I watched that opening night, and I saw it in Moore Park, like in an area in Sydney where it's the area near it is Bondi Junction, which is mainly a Jewish area. And I went and saw it. And during the middle sequence, the scourging sequence of Jesus, there was at least 50 walkouts. And after, when the movie ended, everyone was, if you've seen the movie, you know how brutal it is. It's very, very brutal to watch. And everyone's basically stunned. We were all getting up to leave. And this young teenager was standing behind a man, an elderly man, probably around mid-50s, 60s. I remember it clear like it was yesterday, had a yarmulke on his head, and he was Jewish. And literally, the young man punched the old Jewish man in the head, saying, see what your people did to our Lord. I thought, oh my goodness.
Wow.
Never experienced something like that since.
Only walk out and a punch out. Wow.
Walk out and a punch out. That was crazy. I will never forget that. But
wow.
My goodness.
The one I had was and like I said, don't get me wrong, I was going to say earlier, cinema is very important. Like I love the cinema. It's a different experience now. Like I said, when people are on iPads and phones, it's like, why are you here? That's why I liked a pre-phone era where, people just sit there and engage in the movie. But the one I saw, remember, was at the Sydney Film Festival. They played Lars von Trier's Antichrist down here.
Oh, boy.
And about half of the audience walked out during the beating scene where he's blood coming out. And so that was quite interesting. And I stupidly took a date to that movie, and she never spoke.
Oh, no.
Good choice, man.
Yeah,
great date movie.
Lars von Trier, let's go see this. And it was the third date, and she.
Oh, that was the test. It was a test. Yeah.
I guess that's the test.
You like this film?
I used to go to the movies every single week, so I used to see pretty much everything. So I would just see things with strangers very awkwardly. Like I saw Midsommar, Ari Aster's Midsommar with strangers, and and that movie was just incredibly surreal and sexual.
It was
wild
and very unsettling.
Yeah. I mean, his newest film is. I still have to see it. I'm actually very excited for it.
It's good, but just give yourself 3 hours and
time and patience.
Time and patience. That's the best way to describe what you need to see for Beau is Afraid. Definitely time and patience.
Yeah. My I would say the most standout experience I've had when it came to a movie that I was in the movie for way too. I felt like I don't hate the movie, but it felt like I was in the movie way too long, and it was The Irishman. I saw The Irishman in the theater, and it was a packed theater, and that movie's 3.5 hours long, I think. And I was just like, it got to a point where I was counting. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like I love movies and I love seeing, and I don't mind long movies, but that movie, this is where I go on my, he needs to think about editing his movies a little bit down. I think as the years have gone on, he's just gotten a little bit more like, it's hard to make movies. Okay, I'm leaving everything in. He's like, if I'm making movies and I'm finally gonna make the movie I want to make, it's gonna be 3+ hours.
Well, I mean, his newest film was supposed to be over 4 hours, and then he edited it down.
I know.
It's now cut down. It was originally 3 hours and 54 minutes, but now Killers of the Flower Moon is 3 hours. The final running time is 3 hours and 26. So technically 3 minutes shorter than The Irishman. So.
Yeah, I agree, Stephen. Irishman, it felt, it didn't have the energy. I felt the most.
It didn't have the energy. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Goodfellas, that's like a 3-hour film, but it flies by so far, and like you know what, it's over.
That's the thing with Scorsese. His films have this breakneck pace to them to where, like you were saying, they fly by so fast. Like Wolf of Wall Street, I remember seeing that.
Wolf of Wall Street
moved like lightning, like just quick and moved.
That's 3 hours, or nearly. It's like
that was 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah. And it's just like The Irishman didn't have that energy, like that punch. But I don't know, it was a different style. But
and then on top of that, of course the effects, the de-aging effects were just. I was like, dude, what the hell were you thinking? I know he's not used to dealing with like effects like that. That's not really his forte. But then he got that Netflix money, and I was like, dude, man, you fucked up. Hopefully, it's one of them situations where I almost kind of hope they go back and fix it. But it is started out on Criterion. It's done. But we got on a Scorsese rant. I'm sorry. I got us down that pathway.
Well, he's been just in the news a lot lately. He's always on my mind anyway.
He's always, I'm always thinking about Scorsese films.
Yeah, I love Scorsese, don't get me wrong. But
definitely.
I mean, we just had After Hours announced from Criterion.
After Hours just announced.
Like a week or two ago.
I love that.
And that's another one that flies by. Funny enough, Tony and I were lucky to catch that at a screening in Sydney.
Yeah, we did.
And it was a great scene with the crowd. It was really fun. But that's a film that just a lot of energy, a lot of fun. But
yeah, absolutely.